All right, so what we're learning today is what we're going to use forever for factoring. And we're going to use factoring in upcoming chapters as well. So what we're learning today, please ask questions if you're not understanding it. I really think you'll get it because it's a very simple process. Okay, and it's the same process the whole time. So looking at these problems, when we have three terms, okay, we're trying to figure out what two quantities it started out as. Okay, so we're going to be finding out this answer right here. Now the way that you're going to figure that out is to organize your information in an X. So you'll notice I have this big black X with a 3 and a 4 written in it. Now really tiny above it says multiply and on the bottom it says sum. You don't have to write those words. It's just a reminder to you of what we're looking for. So where do you think I got this 3 from? Right here. Okay, where's the 4 from? Right there. So it's always the last number on the top. The middle number goes on the bottom, always. Okay? What you're trying to do is find two numbers, we're going to put them on the left and the right, that multiply to be 3 and add together to be 4. 3 and 1, right? Okay, the reason I have an arrow here is sometimes it helps to list all of the factors of that number. Okay, those are going to be your options here. Will 3 and 1 work? Those two numbers are what go right here and right here. How do we get x squared? What would these have to be? X and x. You don't have to check anything. If you see homework from the other classes, they'll always be checking their work to make sure that it gets back to this original. If this is true right here, this is for sure the answer. Okay? So let's look at this one. What number goes here? And here. So we have to multiply to be 12, add together to be 7. 3 and 4. So we get x plus 3, x plus 4. So if you would multiply these two quantities together, this is what you would get. All right, let's look at these two. We've got our x. What goes here? What two numbers multiply to be 6? 6 and 1. Okay, so we've got x plus 6, x plus 1. Okay, and some of these you're able to do them in your head without drawing this x. I want you to draw the x because it will help us in the next section. Okay, those have an added step to them, so you're going to want to have that x very ingrained in your brain. Okay. So what number goes on top for this problem? What two numbers? 3 and 5. Multiply to be 15, add together to be 8. So we've got r plus 3, r plus 5. Making sense? Yes? No frustration today? Okay, I don't think you will. Okay, these two. The other teachers just haven't really worked with it enough to feel comfortable to teach it. So they do it kind of the older-fashioned way. Not that it's wrong. They get the right answer too. This is just a different way to think of it. All right, this one. Top number. 1, because this term right here really has a 1 in front, and this. So what two numbers work? 1 and 1, right? Okay. So they're both going to start with B, and they both have a 1 right here. What is going to have to be on both of these in order to get an x squared on the end? An x, right? You don't have to have the 1s there, but I'm not going to count them wrong if they're there. Okay, so anytime you have those squared variables on the end, you know you have to add those to the end of each of your quantities. So looking at this one, top number 12, bottom number 8. Six and 2. So truly, the hardest part about these problems is coming up with those numbers on the left and the right. Okay, the rest of it you're just filling in. So we've got x plus 6y and plus 2y. Good. Yep, and that's exactly what I was just about to ask right here. So good thing you brought that up. What have you noticed about all of these problems so far? All of them are addition. You haven't seen a single subtraction sign. Okay, so that is the commonality right now. We're going to see what happens when we have a subtraction on that middle term. The process does not change. So write down the 2 blue problems. Top number? Bottom. Negative 12. What 2 numbers will make this true? Okay. When you multiply 2 negatives, what do you get? Positive 27. When you add them, negative 12. So what will my answer be? Good. So the next one, we have 30 and negative 13. Negative 10, negative 3. Okay, something also in common so far is your first term has no number in front of it. Okay, that's all we're going to be focusing on in this section. Next section, we'll put the number in front, which will add another step to this process, but it will always start with the x. Okay, but just for today, we're looking at ones where your first term has a coefficient of 1. So these two, you're thinking in your head, Miss Hanson is a hypocrite. She just said we don't have any ones where there's a number in the front. Knowing that I said that, and I was not lying, what do you think we should do first? Let's factor out a 4. There's a 4 in common with all of these. Our first step is always, can we take anything out? And in this case, we can. We can take a 4 out. It doesn't magically disappear. You have to keep it there on the outside. What am I going to put in the x? So when you write your answer, you have to keep the 4 there to make your answer complete and correct. Done with that problem? Yeah, we're done with that one. Can't be factored anymore. Next one, we take out a 5, because that's in common with all of them. So we've got 8 and negative 6. Make sure you keep the 5 there. So we've got minus 2, minus 4. All right, so far our problems have looked like this. We've had a number for B and C, and we've seen ones where they're both plus, which gives us answers that have both plus signs. When B was negative, what were these signs right here? They were both negative. Now we're going to look at a case where we make C negative. It's not going to change our process, and it doesn't make it more difficult. Okay? Just separating out each of the cases. Questions? Okay. So let's try when C is negative. Put these two problems down. Top number. And we've got a 5 down here. Multiply to be negative 14, add together to be 5. We got 7 and negative 2. When we multiply those, we get a negative 14. We add them, we get 5. So this one is x plus 7, x minus 2. So when we have a negative C value, what does that do to the signs in our answer? One's positive, one's negative. Yep. So looking at this one, what would our answer be? X minus 8, x plus 4. So here's a summary. Write down these two. That plus or minus on the C value tells us something about our answer. If the C is positive, what do we know about the signs in our answer? Let's look back at this one. If we have a negative sign, which is what we just did here, what do we know about the signs in our answer? Different signs. Okay, so what do you think is going to go by this arrow if we have a positive C? They're going to be the same sign, either both negative or both positive. Okay, so that's another clue as to whether or not you did the problem right. The last slide is 8 problems. I'm going to have you pick any 4 of them. And then I'm going to ask for 8 people to come up and write down their answer. So I'm going to give you a good 3-4 minutes to pick any 4 that you want. So pick 4 of them to put in your notes. And sometimes it helps if you write down all of your possible factors. I need 8 volunteers. Once you've got any 4 problems done, you can pick 1 to write up here. You can just come up whenever you're ready. 4 done. Okay, 4 done. You have 4 done? You have a question? You want to come up and do one? You can pick any one. Yeah.
Right, that big.
You're super close. You need a -9. Right now you have a +5. Come up here and fix it. Somebody come fix it. There you go. Now turn. Thank you. Teamwork. 6 more people. Is that a volunteer or a question? You can come up. Yeah, you can. Anyone can just come up whenever. Mm-hmm. Need 3 more volunteers. We have 5 correct answers. Need 3 new people. Need 2 more volunteers. We've got 20 people in here. Hold on, you gotta wait till she's done. All right, 2 of these need slight corrections. Which 2 need some corrections? What's one of them?
The second one down on the left side.
What was his mistake?
It's like -1.
Right here, let me use a different color. This was a -1. So what should these 2 numbers be? -7, +6, which would change. This would be a minus and a plus. So your 2 numbers were right according to the bottom number being positive, but you just forgot the negative sign. Okay? What's the other one? This right here is the best practice. Okay, don't say why. Somebody else, why? What small mistake did she make? Somebody from this side of the room. Maddie? Yes, right now these 2 add together to be +2, so the signs need to be opposite on here, which would make them opposite on here. Okay, so be careful of those signs. Making mistakes is our best way that we learn. Any questions? All right.